This program is brought to you by thepodcastfactory.com.
Hi, my name is Igor Kheifets, and this is the List Building Lifestyle, the only podcast which delivers cutting-edge conversion strategies from the online trenches straight to your earbuds. Download the transcript of today's episode and all future episodes at listbuildinglifestyleshow.com. I also invite you to grab a free copy of the Wealthy List Builder Survival Guide at listbuildinglifestyleshow.com/survival. And now, once again, it's time to claim your list building lifestyle.
You are listening to List Building Lifestyle. If you're here, you're in the right place to build a better business, live happier, and hang out with the Prince of List Building, Mr. Igor Kheifets. What is up?
Hey, Jonathan, my friend. Man, this has been a tremendous day so far. Very productive.
Good. So what do you have in store for us today, Igor?
I want to appeal to the list builders. I want to wake them up, because all I see lately is people trying to convince other people to buy their product or join their business through direct, rational arguments.
Yeah, how's that working for them?
I don't think it works very well, because that's like the last thing you want to do when you try to convince someone to do anything. And you know that if you ever try to convince a family member or a friend, like just giving them straight up advice, which you know works. Like, how many times did you actually talk to a friend in need who said, hey, I need, help with this or that, and you give them a very specific, direct, like rational advice, and all they do is they nod in agreement, but they never follow through. Like they do something else, right?
Furthermore, how about talking to your wife and she's being all emotional and you're just trying to give her a rational answer to something? How's that work out for you?
This is an even better example, probably. I've just had such a conversation today, and it's no use. It's no use. When emotion is at play, it's just no use to appeal to logic. So, when it comes to convincing someone to join your business, when it comes to influencing somebody into working with you, appealing to their rationale before you have established an emotional case it's useless. It's futile. It does not work. And it took me a while to get this. It took me a whole while to get this. In fact, I spent the first couple of years in this industry trying to change the industry. I was like giving the factual, rational stuff which I thought people needed, rather than looking at all the sales letters and sales presentations that worked and modeling after those, which are all emotional. Like, they told stories, they appealed to fear, they appealed to the dream, right? But I just went and I'm like, I'm going to give you 25 pages worth of content for $2, or I'm going to give you my best system, which has been proven to work by field testing, field tested by 12 other people, and yada. So none of my factual stuff ever worked, which was devastating, because I put in a lot of work into it, and I was coming from a true, place from my core, and I really wanted to help. But eventually I learned the hard way, after years of failure, that if you want to help someone make a decision, even if it's a really good decision, even if it's a decision that they are basically supposed to be making on their own, if they have a brain, you always have to appeal to their emotions, and almost never to the logical element, at least not until you've established the emotional case. So in my opinion, my humble yet accurate opinion, influence comes down to about 80% emotion and 20% logic. So the 80% of the convincing process, always comes down to how, whether you created an airtight emotional case.
How do you get into that mindset? Because I'm a dude that likes logical things, but how do you get into the mindset? Because I think you're pretty good at it. How do you get into that mindset of the emotional thinking?
Oh, that's a great question. There's actually a very easy way to do it. If you go on Amazon and you research into your niche, let's just say you're in e-commerce, right? So you look up several bestsellers on how to do e-commerce, right? Which means that people who want to do e-commerce probably picked a copy of those books, right?
Yeah.
And you go ahead, instead of picking up the product, what you do is you go and you look at the reviews. And I want you to look at the 5-star reviews, the 4-star reviews, and the 2-star and the 1-star reviews. Usually, the 1-star reviews will reveal to you what kind of emotional, stuff going on in the minds and the hearts of your target market, because people will complain and will express ideas which you didn't even consider to be possible.
From your logic standpoint.
From your logic, that's it, yeah. So you will then learn to kind of acknowledge the fact that people think and feel a certain way, and usually their feelings sort of like it just, man, I don't have the word for it, man. It's just when they feel this strong emotional response to marketing, all the logic goes out the window.
That's a good tip. In fact, I'm going to start digging into some of that too, looking for what people feel. I don't think I know enough of what people feel about in my market, and going and reading those books, those bestsellers, and seeing what people hate about them is a great idea.
Yeah. So one of the examples I can give you, like everybody knows, everybody realizes that there is no such thing as instant change, overnight success. We all know that, right?
What? Oh my God.
However, if you go on Amazon and you check out Tony Robbins' Awaken the Giant Within, for example, which is a book about success, and you go and you read the one-star reviews, you're going to find comments such as, I was seeking immediate dramatic results from this book, but I didn't find them.
Really?
Yeah, and this is for real. Like, here's a quote. I'm waiting for the wow moment, but it never comes. The material is simplistic and very basic. I want super advanced stuff.
Ah.
Now, this is probably a guy or a gal who never succeeded in life at anything. He probably doesn't make much money. Probably is like a janitor or maybe works at McDonald's. And they're looking for the wow moment. They're looking for the super advanced stuff. But why would you look for the advanced stuff if you're a beginner and you haven't succeeded, with the basic stuff yet? Doesn't make any sense, right?
Yeah. And now that you're mentioning those things, I hear them all the time in every market I've been in, is those people who are not successful yet they're looking for magic and they never seem to find it. I wonder why.
Not only that, this is something I learned from Frank Kern years ago. He said that the reason I advertise, air quotes, advanced stuff is because everyone wants the advanced stuff. Nobody wants the basic stuff, because the basic doesn't have a high perceived value. However, most of the marketplace, the vast majority of the marketplace is basic. In other words, their skill set is very basic, even below basic. Like 99% of the marketplace in the make money line space haven't made any money. So these guys are newbies, but they all look for the advanced stuff, which is why, for example, a lot of times you'll see smart marketers disguise the basic stuff as the advanced stuff, because otherwise it's impossible to get their attention.
That's interesting. How can we luster up the old stuff they need? So that goes back to that principle of selling people what they want and giving them what they need.
Yeah, it does. It does. Only it puts it in a very specific example. But there's like a million things like that in our industry which you have to stay aware of, which most people don't know. They think, I just got to have a great product, and people will kind of realize on their own how awesome it is, and they're going to buy from me. But it's not the case. I mean, I think Tony Robbins has amazing products. Yeah, there's just so many people out there who complain about his work. But why would you? I mean, if you have a brain, in my opinion, if you have a brain, you listen to that guy. I read many of his books. I went through many of his seminars. I've listened. The program that changed my life in a big way was Personal Power 2. It came on tapes, right? So I did the NLP exercises. I worked up the courage to start losing weight, to start approaching girls, to kind of follow my passion and, decide that I wanted to get rich, etc. So I do believe Tony Robbins is tremendous influence on my life. Yet there's a ton of people out there who consume the same material, never done anything with it, right? So they obviously need to be communicated with in a different way than I was.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, are those the people that you want, though? Is the people that don't take action? If you're communicating on that emotional level, is it attracting the wrong people, or how does that work?
No, I don't think there's actually anyone who's like a bad person or who doesn't want to take action. It's just they have blocks that prevent them from taking action. So they probably have some fears or insecurities so deeply, ingrained inside that they simply won't take action, and that's how they express their frustration. They need to blame someone, because people always seek to put responsibility for their results, or especially lack of results, on someone else. Just like, the frustrated folks usually turn to God, right? So they always seek for that outside of self cause for success and failure. But I believe if Tony were to have a one-on-one conversation with each and every one of these people, there's a good 9 out of 10 chance, right, that they would walk out hugging, and Tony would convince them to change their life, because he would pinpoint the very specific fear or insecurity or a desire or something in their emotional system that would allow him to get in and help them overcome their hiccups.
So this is something you're really good at. The Kindle book tip I like, or not Kindle, Amazon tip. Any other tips that you can give us to getting into that mindset, and in particular that emotional mindset that our market might be in?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So again, it comes back to studying the material that's already really successful. So think of all the best-selling authors out there in your niche. So if you are in the productivity niche, obviously go ahead and read the 4-Hour Workweek. And then when you read it, you want to try and analyze, why did Tim Ferriss, spend the first chapter or the bulk of the first chapter talking about him traveling to Argentina, learning how to salsa dance, and eating out, guacamole or whatever. Like, I don't know, like I remember him spending a long time painting a really rosy picture, right? He kind of almost bragging about how awesome his life is. So the reason that he did was because that's why people want to work the 4-Hour Workweek. That because they want to not work at all. They want to have fun and travel and have someone else do the work, but they would claim all the money. So that is why the first chapter, or the preface to the book, that's why it was all about that. Now it gives you an idea, of course, that even the people that seek productivity, which at first glance might seem like they want to get more done in less time, right? At the end of the day, all they're looking for is to live the list building lifestyle.
Yeah. So, you know what's interesting about what you just said there is we were talking about the negative emotions and the fears, but now you flipped the script and you're also talking about selling the dream.
True, but think about it this way. When you read how Tim Ferriss brags about having this amazing life and making a ton of money in the process while you slave away in a cubicle, does it make you feel good?
I guess it depends on who you are. For me, it inspires me, but for some people, it might make them feel shitty about themselves.
Well, if you're, circling back to Tony Robbins, there's only two reasons why people do things. Either to avoid pain or gain pleasure, right? So if you're the gain pleasure personality, right, you see the pleasure element and you go for it.
Right.
But if you're like me and you're the avoid pain personality, when I first read that book, man, I felt like shit.
Yeah.
I felt like a loser. So first off, sure, it makes you believe that, hey, someone out there lives this amazing life. However, at the same time, you feel like crap because you're not that someone. So, the way I choose to respond to that is to start, just to become proactive about achieving that lifestyle. But that's just one example of what you look for. There's a million other examples. So whatever the niche you're in, make sure go and pick up at least 3 best-selling products, whether courses, coaching programs, seminar DVDs, or books in that niche, and study them really, really closely to understand why the author talks about certain things. Check out the reviews people post about the program online. Like, study all that material and really don't read the words, but kind of read between the lines. Like, if they tell a story of going from, sleeping in their car to making $12 million a year, right? Why did they start with sleeping in their car? Why did they spend 3 paragraphs in that book showing how inadequate and how big of a failure that person was before they succeeded? Now, you might say, well, it makes for a dramatic transformation. Sure, it might, but the real reason why people do stuff like that is because it overcomes the objection that says, I can't do it because I'm not blank enough. So if a guy who slept in his car for 2 months and dropped out of college and had a documented IQ of 47, become a millionaire, you can't say that you can become a millionaire because you lack X. Whatever that X is, brains, talent, finances, relationships, free time, and so on and so forth. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right. It brings you in and bonds you with them one way or another.
Yeah, so there you go. I mean, if you just now, by the way, Jonathan, I want to be honest with you. 99% of people who listen to this episode will not do what I just said. Okay,
Surprise!
they're not going to do what I just said. But the 1% who will, okay, if you're listening to this and you decided that you want to be that 1% who will actually do what I just said, make no bones about it that a year from now or 2 years from now, you're going to be turning back on this moment. And you're going to see this as the moment when you finally opened your eyes, when things kind of shifted for you because you finally understood who you're dealing with. Because a lot of times, like, I see great people, hardworking people, honest people try to succeed from home, and they try to talk to prospects and recruit them into their business. But the problem is there's a huge disconnect. No one can explain it, right? No, not the person selling, not the person buying. They can't explain. They just decide that it's a disconnect and they don't do business. But oftentimes disconnect is because the primary communicator, which in this case is the person who's trying to recruit the prospect, is not on the same wavelength as the prospect. They're like on different levels. And so if you want to sign more people up into your company, you have to get down, okay, to that level. Now, this is not to say that people who you're recruiting are less intelligent than you are. No, but in the evolution, right, in the progress that you have to make going from a nobody to becoming a self-made, millionaire, you kind of go up. Like your awareness goes up, your intelligence goes up, etc. So you have to get down to where you were starting out in order to recruit the people that are just coming in. Does that, like, I know it's not the most simplistic explanation, but does that make sense?
There's a couple things there that I want to bring up. And so you're the stick guy, I'm the carrot guy. And so when you're saying get down, what I'm picturing in my mind is just you leaning over and giving somebody a hand to pull them up to your level. So it's not getting down in a negative way, it's helping people up. And the other thing is, and I just learned this concept. I was interviewing Joe Schreider from Agora Financial, $400 million a year company. And what you talked about in the book is something that he talked about in reading sales letters. And he said that he had trouble really understanding what good copy was until he did this new thing that he called active reading, which is what you described in that book. And active reading is reading a paragraph, reading 2 paragraphs, reading 5 pages, and asking yourself, writing in the margins, why is he saying this? What is this about? What emotion is this triggering? So that active reading made him more aware of what was working, what wasn't working, and why it was working. And I like that idea.
I've never heard the term active reading, but I like it. I just realized I'm doing it unconsciously now for the last several years. And I'm going to write this down because it's the best way I've heard it explained ever.
Yeah, when he told me that, my mind was blown.
The guy probably knows a thing or two about success, right?
You think?
Being at the helm of a $400 million a year company.
Right, and working with some of the best copywriters in the world. And I got to share this interview with you, actually. I'm going to get you a copy of that after we're off the air. Sorry, list builders, this is insider information only. But Igor, what do you have coming up for us next time?
Well, Jonathan, I've been hard at work seeking out experts to share the stage with. And the guy who joined me on the next episode, he's amazing, okay? What I thought is going to be another, philosophy episode turned into an actual, a very actionable, do this, don't do that, say this, don't say that sort of episode. So he runs his own media agency. He's a specialist at building sales funnels, at creating automated webinar presentations, and he works with some of the biggest players in the network marketing space. So I'm not going to reveal who he is, but I'm telling you, man, he's one of the most knowledgeable sales funnel guys I know and that I've had the pleasure of interviewing. So next episode, if you're struggling to build sales funnels that convert for your business opportunity, this one's for you.
Sounds interesting. I like the little cliffhanger tease there. Good stuff. All right, that's a wrap for another List Building Lifestyle. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Igor, for sharing your insights with us. And we will be back with you next time.
Thank you for listening to the List Building Lifestyle. Make sure to subscribe on iTunes or Google Play to never miss an episode. Because who knows, just one conversion tactic we share on the show might double your list and double your business. Download the transcript of today's episode and all future episodes at listbuildinglifestyleshow.com. And don't forget to claim your complimentary copy of the Wealthy List Builder Survival Guide at listbuildinglifestyleshow.com/survival. This is Igor Kheifets, and until next time we talk, have a good one.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.